Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. I'm Tash, and if you're new here, thanks for coming and checking out my video, and if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. So it is Thursday the 2nd of March, and I have for this episode I have one finished object to show. I have two new cast-ons, one of which is going to be frogged as soon as I finish recording because I'm not happy with it, which is a bit of a bummer, but anyway, I'll get into that. I've got some progress on my socks and on Misurina, and I also have I have a faux from the vault. I have some destash yarn purchases, and then at the end, a little bit of chatter about my week. Right, so I'll get straight into it. My finished object is my Musselburgh hat. It was almost finished. So this is a hat where I used 3 colors of Tosh Merino Light in the Ursa Major colorway, which is like a gradient, 3 skein gradient set from Tosh. So this is the darkest color, and this is the medium color here that I used in the middle. And then on the other side, I've got the lightest color. So I'll just try it on so you can see. So that's with it looking that way. And if I go the other way, that and fold it up that way, then I've got the light color, excuse my hair, I'm crazy, the light color with the middle, so it's pretty long. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Oh, see, if I roll it too far, I think I probably should have gone a little bit, well, I used all of this, so I did as much of that as I could. Yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I used, so it was a 3.5mm needle, and so I used, for the light color, I used, how much did I use? 43 grams of this one. I used all that I had of this color, which was 25 grams, and then 45 grams of the darkest color, which is the same number of rows as the 43 grams for the light color, but I guess just when there's more dye in it, it's a bit heavier, maybe? Anyway, so I think however long this is, the middle is probably a little bit shorter than I would have liked. It's 5 inches. So I guess I might, when I turn it up, maybe I'd prefer it to be 3 inches turned up. So if I was going to do that again, it would be better to have 6 inches in the middle. Yeah, anyway, I'm happy with how it came out. So it was 25 grams of the middle colorway, yeah, and 45. So I guess what does that make? 60, 70, 113 grams. So that's, you know, that's a full skein there. Yeah, and it kind of looks like 2 hats depending on how you wear it. So I'm happy with how that one went. Let me see. What's next? Misurina by Caitlin Hunter. So this is an interesting one actually. I had 90 grams left for the body. After I split off the sleeves, I had 90 grams left for the body, and I thought that would be enough. But when I knit about half of the yarn, so I'd used about 45 grams, and I hadn't even done the sleeves yet, I knew that was not going to work. Like, it was not going to be long enough. And yes, I could make it cropped, but it was going to be too cropped, especially if I needed to use some for the sleeves. So what I ended up doing was I just did a couple of rounds with the charcoal. So this is in Tosh Merino Light, in Charcoal's the grey, and Hedgehog Fibres Skinny Singles in the Damask is the pink. And so I did 2 rows with the charcoal, and then I did 1 row plain with the pink, so that then when I went into the ribbing, because if you go straight into the ribbing when you change color, you'll get the blips, and all the pearls, you'll get blips of the old color, which I didn't want. So I did 1 row of plain, and then 5 rows of a twisted rib, and then bound off. So I've done that on both sleeves, and this is what I've got. Sorry about the clinking, I'll move that out of the way. This is what I've got. I've got 11 grams left of the damask, and that's going to be plenty because I think I only used about 4 or 5 grams for the sleeves. And then I've got about 45 grams left of the charcoal. So I'll just knit until that runs out and then use that for the ribbing, and I think that will work. So that I'll definitely have that done by next recording, so in a week's time. So that's that one, so I'll definitely have that done. Well, you know, assuming everything goes well. Now, this is the one that was a new cast on that I'm going to frog. So this is the Musselburgh hat again, because I sort of, you know, I like having one of these on the needles, and I used the This is the Skein Uptown sock in the Airy colorway, Wisp, sorry, Wisp colorway. And it, I used a 3.5mm needle, whereas the other one that I did, that was on a 3.25mm needle. And I don't know, it felt like it was a bit tight when I was knitting it, but when I'm looking at this, even though I know it's gonna look better when it gets blocked, it still seems too open for me and more problems. It's about 2 inches bigger than the other one, so that's definitely going to be too big. And even if I decided to use it for, or give it to someone who's got, you know, a head that's slightly a bit larger, I'm gonna run out. So I'm gonna run out of this. And I've got this and this, and I really only just have enough. I've got like 58 grams of this and 48 grams of this. Now I think about it, it's gonna be kind of a short one. If the other one was 113 grams, okay, so maybe it's, I guess it can be a little bit shorter, that's okay. Those ones, that last one is pretty slouchy. So I think if I knit all of that's 48 grams, and if I knit sort of 48, 50 grams of that, it should be big enough anyway. The other thing that I could do is do like a 3-color thing with the dopamine, and like I did with the other one, this, and this, so it's like 2 hats in one. It's still 2 hats in one though, because if it's 2 colors, it's either this with this turned up or this with this turned up, so that's still different. Anyway, I think I'll just do these 2 colors. I really want to do a 2-color one, so, but I have to frog it, right? So, and I've knit 38 grams, which is a real pain. I really don't like ripping back, but it's better than pushing on and knowing I'm not going to be happy with it. So that will be ripped back probably later, probably as soon as I finish recording. So that's my second Musselburgh, which will get ripped back, but then I'll try and cast it on straight away again on 3.25mm needles. So it's sort of a whip, but anyway, I guess it will be again, just on different, it'll go back to this big instead of this big. My socks, so my fingering weight socks with a gusset heel, I've actually made good progress on that. I actually finished one. I haven't woven in the ends or anything, but that's the fingering weight socks with a gusset heel, and I really like, this is the first kind of sock that I ever made, so it's toe-up socks, and I just really like it. It's really easy. You just increase out for the gusset, and then you do some short rows here, and then I did a couple more rows, and then I think I did maybe 5 or 6 rows of a twisted rib. And that's it. And that actually weighs about 23.5 grams. So I know I've got plenty, because the ball was 52 grams. So I've got plenty, and I've just started the toe of the second sock. So very happy about that. And I'm glad that seeing my Musselburgh didn't work out, I've got something else for playground duty, which I was worried. That's why I've made so much progress on it, because I've been doing that on playground duty instead of the Musselburgh once I realized it was going to be too big. And my last my last whip, which is a new cast on, it's in this bag that my friend Leanne made me, and I've had it for so long. I've washed it a number of times in the washing machine, and it's just sort of starting to fray. I'm really sad because it's such a lovely bag. I've made a few of this pattern as well. I'll have to have a look what the name of the pattern is. Yeah, anyway, I just really love it because she made it for me too, so, and I have used it a lot. It's always so nice having something that somebody else, especially when you're a maker, when somebody else makes something for you, it's so lovely. All right, so this is my Abdress. I started it, which I'm very happy about. And this is the presentation side, which is reverse stockinette. And but I'm actually knitting it that way around. So it's got an interesting construction. It's got these sort of, actually I'll show you on this side, it's easier to see, these sort of contiguous sleeves. And then you increase out here, so you've got most of your body stitches. So I've done this technique a few times. It's got a lot of increases after increases in a sort of a short period. So that's what it looks like on the presentation side. That's the sleeve there. I was a bit disappointed there was a knot in the yarn, and so where is it? It's right here, like right in the middle, but it's on the back. And I know that that's the presentation side, but I just pulled out where the knot was, and then I'll use a tapestry needle and pull it back through to the wrong side of the work and weave it in here. And I'll probably duplicate stitch it because it's right in the middle of the back. If, you know, if it was over on the side, I might just sort of weave in the ends normally, but because of where it is, I'll follow the path of the stitches around. That will be probably the least visible way of hiding it, especially because it's harder to hide the yarn on the stockinette side than it is on the reverse stockinette side, because the reverse you've got like the purl bumps to sort of go into, whereas on this side you don't. So I'll probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll duplicate stitch it. Anyway, so that's the first colour. I cast that on when I was on the train on the way out to the airport, and I was wearing my Abdress while I was starting my new Abdress, so that kind of felt, anyway, I'll put a little picture of me knitting on it up there. And I will have that Abdress with me as I'm making this one, to sort of just, you know, the gauge is pretty similar, but so, and because it's similar, I'll use the color transitions from that dress to work out when to change for this dress, because in the pattern it's meant to have 7 colors and I've got 6 colors, and for my previous one I had 6 colors as well. So but my gauge was off, so I didn't really need to, each row needed to be, each wedge or each section, each stripe needed to be a little bit longer, but not way longer, because my gauge is a little bit, my stitches are a little bit taller than the pattern. I'm getting about 28 rows for 4 inches, and I think the pattern was 31 rows. So anyway, I'm excited about that. These are the rest of my colors in this swatch, and so I'm definitely going to finish the Abdress before I do the 2 sorrels that I was planning on making, because I want these to use for the sorrels, so the leftovers. So that's my new cast on, and that's always very exciting, you know, when you have something new. There is quite a bit of paying attention in the pattern to begin with, but now I'm kind of at the point where I'm just sailing around. I just have to be a little bit conscious when I'm going to change colors, because it's not like you knit to the end of the ball. You know, you've got this long and you want each stripe to be the same length, so you just need to make sure that you space it out and your last stripe isn't like this long. So yeah, so that's the Abdress. There are my 4 whips. And now Faux from the vault. This is Stripes by Andrea Mowry, and this actually is one that I've had. It's funny, like I look at it and I think, oh, it's kind of a bit unusual. The colors are a bit sort of different, but both my husband commented that he really liked it, and my dad commented that it was really like clever, he liked it. So I don't know. Anyway, it was nice. So the yarn that I used, there's 5 stripes in this. I used a 3.25mm needle. The purple is Tosh Merino Light. There's 3 Tosh Merino Light colors actually. The purple is Venetian, this yellow is Ginger, and this blue is Well Water. And then this one here is actually Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles in Wish, which is the yarn that I'm going to use for the second half of the Musselburgh hat. And this one here is Skein Uptown Sock in the colorway French Lavender, and that's some leftovers from what I used for the Cruiser cardigan by Kristen Finlay. And so unfortunately I didn't weigh the balls before I started, but I did, obviously I can weigh the finished object, and the finished object is 230 grams. And all the stripes are roughly, you know, like the same number of each, except the Venetian. It starts and ends with the Venetian. So I'm guessing that I probably used about 45 grams of the other balls and about 50 grams of the Venetian. So if I was going to make another one, which I would like to, I'd probably, to be sort of safe, if I was going to use 5 colors, I would use maybe, if I had 50 grams of the 4 colors, of each of the 4 colors, and maybe 60 grams, that would, to be safe, of the, you know, whichever one I'm going to start and finish with, then I'd be fine. So I have so many things that I want to make with leftovers. So Musselburgh hats and sorrels and stripy sweaters. So yeah, I do love having leftovers, and I'm lucky because my aunt gives me some of her leftovers too, so I have extras there. So let me think about this. Oh yes, the other thing I wanted to say about this was I knit this on a 3.25mm. Now this here is Skein Uptown Sock, and this here is Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles, which are the 2 yarns that are in this Musselburgh hat. And I'm trying to knit it on a 3.5mm needle, and I don't like the fabric. So, and yet I knit it here on a 3.25mm needle, and I do like the fabric. So clearly that is going to be the best needle for that hat. So I feel quite good about frogging it and starting again on a 3.25mm, because I'm sure I'll be happy with the end result, because I've already blocked that yarn in that color and I like it. All right, so, and yeah, this is just a really nice jumper to wear with, it's quite light obviously because it's fingering weight, and just to wear with jeans and a t-shirt and sneakers. So yeah, anyway, that's my faux from the vault. Let me see, where am I up to? Oh, purchases. So this is a funny one actually. This was kind of not planned purchases. So I'm on Ravelry, I'm in the Australian Knitters group, and people put yarns up for destash. And I saw some skein yarn go up for destash, and it was quite, you know, inexpensive compared to what it costs full price. And there were like, I bought 6 skeins, but they're all single skeins. And I'm kind of, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but I'm sort of, you know, when it arrived and it's pretty but not amazing, and I'm also like, what am I going to do with it? So you'd think after years, like years and years and years of knitting, that I would be a little bit more sensible about my purchases. But, you know, sometimes the bargain sort of, you know, and I also thought there's some yarns here that I've not tried before. So, I don't know. Anyway, I've bought them, so I'll figure out what to do with them eventually. So this is the Daintree Skein Daintree, which is a 4-ply sock yarn. It is superwash merino bamboo silk, 350 meters. It's kind of, I don't know what to do with it. It looks really pretty in this cardigan that Truly Myrtle, Libby, I can't remember her last name, Libby Johnson, made, but I don't have a whole sweater's worth of it, so I don't know, maybe I'll make a hat or something out of it, just to at least try out the yarn. Maybe I'll make a Musselburgh just in one color. This is, I have some of this yarn actually. This is the Classy, which is a 4-ply sock yarn, which is merino silk. And I have some of this yarn in a couple of different colorways. So I was thinking, this is like a navy. I was thinking I could maybe use that with one of my other colors. So, and like make a 2-color project. So, you know, put 2 things together that maybe I wasn't sure what to do with each one, but together they might make like maybe make another dotted rays or something. So they're the 4-ply ones. These are 2 sport weight ones, but not the same base. This is her Merino Silk Sport, and I've used this yarn before. I've made a, I can't think of the name. I've made this really oversized sweater with, if I can think of the name, I'll put it below. I've made a really oversized sweater with this particular yarn. Oh, I've made an atelier with this yarn. It's a really, really beautiful yarn, but one skein of it, I'm not sure what to do with it. So anyway, I bought it, it's pretty, it'll go in the stash. This is another sport weight, but it's just 100% superwash merino sport weight yarn. This might be nice for either maybe socks, sport weight socks. Maybe sport weight socks, I think they're quite pretty. And this one here, so this is really interesting. These are both Bliss DK. They both say Bliss DK. But if you look at that, one is like a plied construction and one's a chain construction. So they're not even the same, they've got the same name, right? They both say Bliss DK. And they're both, oh, see this one's 80% merino, 20% cashmere. And this one is 100% merino. So maybe she changed the base but didn't change the name. I don't know. I don't knit that much with skein yarn and that I know every change that she's ever made. But anyway, so they're both one skein of DK, which again, what am I going to make with it? I don't know. So that's kind of a bit of a purchase fail, I would say. Just not really thinking clearly before going, oh, that's a good deal, I'll buy it, and then going afterwards going, I mean, they're really pretty, but what am I going to do with them? So I'd like to be more intentional with my purchases, and that was a bit of a fail, but I'm sure I will use them. They are beautiful yarn, or I might destash them again. Anyway, so that's my purchases for the week, but who knows what I'm going to do with them. Sorry, that's let me see, oh, my plans. Okay, so I am gonna make another Ilha dress in the chirp. I've already shown that a number of times. I do need to do a bit of mathing in terms of making sure I make the right size, because it's a much smaller gauge than my last dress. I'm going to make the pink and purple sorrels, but I need to like finish off the yarn from the Abdress so that I know how much I've got in leftovers and where I'm going to place them. I'm going to make the climb socks by Jane Richmond when I've finished the other socks, and I do have to restart the Musselburgh hat, so I guess they're my plans coming up. Sewing, no sewing at all because I went away, and I mean not just for that reason, but certainly if I'm not around, I'm not going to sew. So if that's, I'm going to do some personal stuff now, so if you've stayed for this long, thanks very much. If you would like to like and subscribe, that would be really nice, and if you want to stick around for the personal chatter stuff, I'll put that in now. So what did I do? I went away for the weekend. I went to Noosa and hung out with a friend of mine. She is in events, so she was already up there and had run an event, and so then just stayed in the same hotel, and I was there for 2 more nights. And obviously we paid for our accommodation for the next 2 nights, but it just meant sort of like she didn't have to do flights up and back again, and she'd already organised all of it, and she knew, because she'd run an event there, she knew all of the different places that are nice places to eat, and you know, all of that. So we stayed in a really nice hotel, and there was a pool there, and it's right across the road from the beach, and the water was beautiful because it's February, no, it's March now, but it was late February. The water's really warm, and where Noosa is, I'll put a picture up here, there's very little, it's quite protected, the beach is quite protected, so there's not a lot of swell, and it's not rough or anything. So yeah, it was really lovely. We went to the Noosa farmers markets, and just had some really nice food there, and yeah, it's just lovely to spend good time with an old friend. So let me think, what else do we do? Oh yes, and we went a little bit shopping. So this is not, it's a purchase, but it's not yarn or fabric. This dress, I bought this dress, so it's really pretty, just really loose and flowy. It's pretty long. I'll show you, why not? This is the, personal stuff. And it was half price, so, and I like it, right? I'm a bit more sensible with clothes. It doesn't matter if it's a good deal. If I'm not gonna wear it, I'm not gonna buy it. So I've already worn it, to work, and yeah, I really like it. I think it's really nice and loose and flowy. And it kind of gives me ideas for sewing as well. This is the kind of thing I want to wear, so if this is the kind of thing I want to wear, it's the kind of thing I want to sew. What else? Oh, the area that we were in Noosa is where I grew up, like that area. I grew up about 40 minutes away from Noosa in Nambour, and it's just nice being in an area where you grew up. And in Noosa, that's where my dad and my brother and we used to go in the holidays, and we would camp there and fish, and it was just wonderful. It's much more like it's become, the hotel where we were staying, that used to be the campground, and it's now like a fancy hotel. So there's no camping in Noosa anymore. It's become quite gentrified, and all of the shops are really, I'm sure the rent is astronomical, but it is a beautiful area, and it's nice to go back to a place where, you have a lot of really lovely memories. So yeah, that was really nice. What else has been happening? My daughter Alex, the middle child, she started university this week, and it's her first year at uni. That's been like just full on, right? Because she's working at Zone Bowling, and she's also going down to Wollongong Uni. And we live in the southern parts of Sydney, and Wollongong is like a satellite suburb further south. So it's a fair way south. Like if she was to drive there, it's 45 minutes, but on the train, it's like an hour and a half. So even if she's got to be at lectures at 8:30, I've got to get her to the station by 7 a.m. And the station's about 15 minutes away from us. So it's a bit of a schlep, and we're really working on getting her logbook hours up for her license, because that will make things a lot easier for her. She'll be able to just drive herself down there, drive herself to work afterwards. yeah, but so it's a pretty busy time right now while she started uni but doesn't have her license. A fair bit of running around getting her there, helping her, because sometimes she didn't finish uni till 7:30 last night. So getting home, she's getting home pretty late. So yeah, so there's a fair bit of just supporting kids. What else? I think that's kind of it actually. I am going to have a busy week coming up because I have assignments and topic tests to mark. So if you haven't watched my other episodes, I'm a high school maths teacher, and I have everything's coming in now. I've got 30 assignments to mark, 30 maybe more because I've got a couple of classes, lots of topic tests and things. So when I finish recording, I do want to rip back that Musselburgh, but I've also got to sit down and do some marking. I don't mind marking normally because it actually helps me, work out sort of how my students are going, but assignments are really not fun to mark. Anyway, enough complaining. So that's my week. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the episode, if you could like, and it'd be really nice if you subscribed as well. So yeah, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye.